Today is April the 9th. These are the seedbed that we looked at last week, April the 2nd. It's just to show how quickly they start to come up, really. You can start to see there's a nice covering on them now. And the flora gets down here. There you go, that's how they first start to come up. They have a little curve. That one there, you can see the leaf coming through.
I can't get my shadow out.
And that'll open itself up. Now, there was a comment about size isn't everything. I've often found that that is something said by people with very small seed trays.
The Royal Horticultural Society have said we are in crisis. The industry is lacking youngsters coming through. This is Eggleston Hall Gardens, and over the next 12 months we're going to take you on a journey of what it's like to run a nursery garden.
There you go, Malcolm. Catch.
Wow, thank you, Matthew. That's brilliant. Oh, they moan about our postal service, but that was posted from the other end of the country, 350 miles down country, and that's here the next morning. Not bad, eh? Well, there we are. It's week 15. We're still in lockdown. I've got my pink shirt on, so summer's here, and I'm moving bloody alpines because they need to get outside. The plum blossom on these wall plants is just starting to come out. Now, plums blossom on older wood, not the previous year's wood. I don't prune them until about April, even later than that sometimes. They are notoriously slow to heal. So I tend to do my plums, well, April, probably down south, probably May up here. Even later, you just have to be a little bit careful with them. Apples and pears, yeah, you can do them in the dormant season, or summer prune them in August with their restricted forms like this. But you can see here I have a plum. There's a little bit of blossom coming on it, but you can see all the last year's growth. Some I will tie in at the back, and there's a fair bit of dead stuff in there that wants to come out, but we really don't prune them because of the silver leaf, and we just do it in the summer and prune them back and leave some of the older shoots, because 2-3 year old wood, they'll, like that, you can see they will produce blossom on. Plums can be a devil. Gages even worse. They're so annoyingly difficult to pollinate. We have gauges down here. I don't think you can see the apple blossom is just developing. Yeah, here's a gauge. Now, if this sets, it'll be fine. You can see there's blossom on the old wood. That's a leader we would have tied in a year or two back. But there's nothing on last year's growth. These alpines that I'm bringing up, they can no longer stay in the glass, under glass, because it's you know, they are alpines, they're outside plants. It's just when we've propagated them that we like to just give them a bit of cover and plenty of air. But now they need to grow on, so they need complete air. This is an interesting little Sempervivium, and it's one called Red Spider. It's a house leek, and you can see the webs just starting to form. The little beads of water on the leaves are quite interesting. They look like little rubies. It's quite a beautiful little thing. Now here is a little plant you very, very rarely see. It needs a bit of a weed up. That's not it. But it's called Sanguinaria canadensis floriplena, which means it's the double flowered. You can get the single Sanguinaria canadensis, you can get the ordinary single form, but you don't often see this double form. It's just starting to come through. It's looking its common name is bloodroot, and if I can find a little bit, sorry, I'm pulling some bits of astrantia out at the same time. Find a piece of root. Let's have a little look down here. There. Now, there is a little bit of root. If I just scratch that, you can see it starts to bleed. You see that there's very similar to skin. You can see the red, almost like broken blood vessels. There, you see. It's not quite, once the leaves are out and the sap is rising, it will do it even more, but that's its common name, bloodroot. Sanguinaria canadensis. Floriplena. Who's in there, Pep? Pep. We're not even half grown yet. It is a spectacular plant. I think we put it on last week as well. But as you can see, Pepper can get right underneath now. And the knob thing in the middle is getting, nodule thing is getting even larger. Well, this is exciting. There's nothing I like better than standing here all day with the bloody hose pipe in my hand. You look as bored as I feel, Pepper. There you are. Grasses. Running grasses. Carex grasses. Miscanthus grasses. Festuca grasses, little blue ones. That one there called the beetles. And there is your swingers grasses, your cortaderias, or pampas grasses. Yeah. What do you reckon of that then? Yeah, my thoughts exactly, girl. I'm reminded how long these gardens have been here. Almost 400 years. And you look at some of the little things that we find. Not just the old churchyard, which is graves going back to 1600. But look at this. A lump of stone. And there is just a piece of metal. You know what that is? That's a boot scraper. That'll be centuries old, that. There's several of them poked around the nursery and around the garden. You come down here. There's another one at the base of that pot. We just use it to keep the pot upright, but it's actually, the stone is actually sunk into the ground. But it's, again, it's just a piece of metal shaped and just for scraping off your boot. These old rollers will be old as well. Not as ancient as the boot scrapers, but probably 100 years, probably Victorian. I'm going to turn this off. There is a little story of how Eggleston got its name. And over here is a huge big rock. And years ago, well, in medieval times, when this was just a settlement, this rock was where they used to congregate. And they used to be here flying their birds of prey. And here on the rock itself is a metal spike. There, you can just see the remains of it. And that's the spike they put in there, and there's another one there. And this huge stone was known as the Eagle Stone. The tale has it this is where they used to keep their falcons and things, so it became known as the Eagle Stone. Henceforth, Eggleston was the derivative of it. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Whatever it was, the Eagle Stone became Eggleston. That is the story as far as I'm aware. My God, there's another one. They're breeding. Ah, that needs fixing. That's not a big problem. That would explain why coming round there sometimes you can just bollocks. Oh dear. Oh well, we'll sort that out later. You never saw that. So we put the lines on to test them and then wander up and down listening for the bloody death hiss. Like I can hear it here now. Where's that? I need to find out where it's coming from. I can hear it, but I can't see it. Ah, now there you are. Now you see, there's lots of them like this. Look at that little bastard. Now we don't know whether that's a mice or a rabbit, but the little buggers get in here and they chew them. They slice them with blooming teeth. So I have to just cap this one off. The problem that we sometimes get is that they get stood on and they break or they've frozen, and the dripper just starts leaking from the side. All we can do is replace that. So I can't remember what price they are. Probably around about 60-70 pence each. So you get 100, 200 of these like this every year. Just with this problem, it soon mounts up. And then you get the pipes and then the algae. So we'll probably replace the best part of 500 a year. But I do have several thousand. So we're going to use this tool you're going to put it over the pipe, like so. There you go, that's over the pipe. Squeeze it. Oh, you bastard. Oh God, I look like I've wet myself now. Anyway, so we get, now I've got some old drippers already made up. These were from Plantsmans Corner, the other nursery, my other nursery, but so I'm just going to use this. You can see, yeah, this is actually quite more difficult than I imagined. I'm going to put it into this. Let me see if I can do this. There we are. Now, this just goes in there so that it holds the dripper, and then we can just put it into place. Just push it in there. You'll hear it click. Well, you didn't actually, but never mind. God. So that's in, and we pull that off, and there we are. There's the new dripper in. Right. This is the last bit of irrigation you will be pleased to know. Well, all those that are bored shitless by it will be pleased to know. This is how you assemble a dripper. Now, here we have an emergency repair kit. Everything we need is on this bench for the summer. You know, it's amazing. It's terrific. I sound like Donald Trump. So we cut off a bit of pipe work, any length, whatever length you fancy, and then we need a nipple. Oh, misses. Now there is a little nipple at the end, and we're just going to shove that in there, right? That goes in one end. So the camera, are you all right there? Can you see my man on camera, man? That. And then we need a cap, a dripper, and a sticky thing. So we put the sticky thing on there. We put the cap on there. Actually, my assistant that's holding the camera didn't cut that straight, so yeah, couldn't be me because I'm perfect. And then we just shove that in there. Put the cap on. You don't really have to do this. And there we are, an assembled dripper and line ready to go. And that is the end of irrigation. There is no more irrigation, I promise you. No more, no more. So there you go, an absolute perfect thing. No leaking taps. No, nothing's gonna squirt out with anyone. Perfection, right first time. This is Lethyrus vernus. It's a lovely little thing, comes out about now, really pretty. And over here is a blue form of it. This is really quite unusual. I prefer the pink, but there you are. That's just me. I like pink shirts. And over here, if you remember a few weeks back, we cut back some maples, long things, and stuck them into 1 litre pots. And now you can see up the stems, they're breaking away nicely. You can see the buds on these. They're looking really powerful and strong. And these have just done really well. Because the seed grown, there's always going to be some variation. This one over here is a little bit more advanced. But that's the glory of seed grown things. I'm really looking forward to seeing how these progress. Dicentra spectabilis, bleeding heart, Dutchman's breeches, lady in the bath. That's if you turn it upside down, it becomes a lady in the bath. That's the straightforward pink one. Over the back is the white one, Dicentra spectabilis alba. And then there are the deeper red one, the relatively new one called Valentine. It's a really lovely, lovely Dicentra. And then of course there's Gold Heart, the one with the yellow foliage. Golden foliage and pink flowers. It's lovely, they're all very, very beautiful. Not you, Pepper, you're a twat. But look at them. Oh, Matthew, do you know this parcel that you kindly sent me? I forgot all about it. It was here, 10 hours ago. It's 9 o'clock in the evening now. This would have been here early this morning. An ungrateful twat that I am, I just put it in here. I've been watering all day. You know what it's like. No stuff. Look at that. You know, if this had been damaged or... Look at that. Or buggered up, it'd have been quite funny really, wouldn't it? Now I could have opened these. Oh, look at that. Shishigashira. And Shindasoja. No. It's the end of the day. I'm fucked. Shishigashira and Makawa Yatsubusa. Thank you very much. And I'll get the little buggers potted on, I think. Look at that. Perfect. No damage whatsoever. So these are young Katsura. This is a lovely early leafing maple. It's absolutely gorgeous this time of the year. And in the garden it looks particularly fresh and inviting. And anyway, let's have a look at another one. This, although it's got some of last year's old leaves on, actually. This is another Katsura, slightly larger than the previous ones. It's all about size, really. Beautiful. Here at Sunnyside there's an even larger Katsura. In the north of England, the colours for us on the plants start later than in the south. Down there, they're nearly, well, they've really just changed colour now. They've started to go sort of a golden yellow before they turn green. You'll see this in a minute or two. But it is the most beautiful splash of colour early in the year. It's a delightful form. And see, it just shows you that not all maples, people associate them with autumn colour, but a lot of them have winter interest, spring interest, as well as all the lovely autumn scarlets that we're used to. See here, now, this week I was planning on giving you a demonstration on hard pruning of camellias, because these are just not shapy enough. However, I've run out of time, so I think we'll nip down to Dorset and see what's happening at Bartholomew's and what Matthew's up to. Probably bugger all, probably asleep, dreaming of pubs.
There's lots of things written about pruning maples. A lot of people say you can't prune them, you shouldn't prune them. Ideally the best time of year is mid-late February. Here we are, April the 12th. But we have actually pruned them 12 months of the year on the nursery, bearing in mind that we graft June, July, August and into early September. And obviously all our plants get cut then. If you're cutting small, thin wood, you can see on that one there, you want to cut sort of 1/2, 3/4 of an inch from the double bud. That leaves that bit to die back naturally and won't affect those two buds. If you cut it longer, it won't make any difference, but obviously you leave a nasty little dead bit. Cut too close, chances are you can lose those buds and it will die back to the next bit. And when it comes to pruning heavier, particularly anything needs coming off of this tree, but we'll try and get around the back. Oh, I don't know. Sacrificial. If it was all out of shape and you want to cut something a little bit heavier, go back to where there's a little side shoot, like that there, and just cut it off. To make any difference to the plant at all. And that's about 20 grafts I've lost. That'll do for that.
This is one of our mature acers, Katsura, in the morning sunshine. It's very lime green at the moment. It does go yellower.
More yellow.
More yellow. Sorry, I'm not very good at the talking. Yeah, it's very pretty. So this is the multi-span that blew off in the wind, the tunnel cover, and all these trees here were planted inside. They are stock plants, but because they'd got so leggy, there's the ones on the inside of the tunnel, not the ones behind, they got so leggy that we cut them right back because they'd been used for so many years. And apparently you shouldn't cut hard prune maples, but if we show you over here, this one here, it hasn't, like, this will all bush out and give loads and loads of lush, like, I think next year you'll be able to propagate from it, will we?
I mean, this is, you can see the size of the wood that we cut.
Yeah, big old
I mean,
bits.
that wood is probably 15, 20 years old, and all this is brand new growth that's come from this spring. By cutting them back very hard, it actually stimulates growth from places that you would never ever get a bud.
Yeah.
And you can see it's all over the place. So you really can cut them very, very hard, as we're going to show you in a minute and explain why.
These are, well, this is one of the stock beds with all the different varieties. There's Shishigashira there. Oh, that's a nice shot. It might not work on the camera through the sunshine. Yeah, they were planted 25 years ago and it's a bit of a forest now. Things have got a bit too big, so we're going to do a bit of thinning out this year to give the, well, there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of Katsuras in here that we've got lots of them around the nursery. Oh, there's pretty, that's a Shindasojo. So yeah, we're going to do a bit of pruning. Well, we say pruning. Major pruning. There we are, there you are.
Well, as Laura just said, we've got far too many Katsuras on the nursery. As you saw the size of the one up in the yard. Now this one here, that's a very valuable stock plant, that's Shishigashira. We've got Arido Nishiki, Shindasojo, and down here, Laura, is a poor little village Taranto, which is being swamped by everything else. Now, as these are stock beds and not grown purely, well, not grown at all for what they look like, as you can see they've had some pruning over the years. It's the end of the life of this one because it's taken over and we don't need it anymore. And Laura's got a lovely saying, the difference between a nurseryman and a horticulturalist is a nurseryman looks at a plant and says, I can't make any money out of it, so he kills it.
Yeah, whereas I like to save all plants.
So it's going to have some severe pruning.
And there you have it.
I bet you've never seen that on YouTube.
No, most people pay a lot of money for a tree that size.
Now we leave the stump that high, so you don't trip over the damn thing. But we will come back and visit this stump in a month, maybe 6 weeks. And you'll probably be amazed at actually what's happened. So there you go, plant in the wrong place. And this one here, who's looking rather smug because he's still standing, little does he know, he's next. Yeah, well, you might shake.
Down here is a tree stump. It's about 6 inches across, I would say. It's as tough as anything, hard as anything. It was a tree that I had down about 2 or 3 years ago, and it's putting on a little sucker with an S, that is, but actually it's a maple, and it was a big huge maple, and the bedroom window is up there on the front of my house, and it was way up past there, and now 2 to 3 years later it's thrown up these things. Now I know that they are from the original, from the actual plant, which was bloodgood, because on the stump I can just make out where the graft was, and the rootstock is slightly below where the shoot is coming from. But it's interesting to see how these things happen. You know, I'd actually given up on it. So if I'm still here in a number of years, I'll have to chop the bugger down again. It will be interesting to see how Matthew's Katsura develops over the next year or two. His being much bigger than mine, of course. Most people know plants plant leaves need carbon dioxide to develop sugars and starches through their leaves. What people don't always realise is that they also need oxygen around their roots. This is really important for health and for root growth. So I'm, just as an example, I've got these little hostas here. These are little micro-propagated hostas. And they've been, they were potted up into, they were little cells, and they were potted up last year, late summer, into small pots. Now over the course of the winter, they've developed this lichen. Oh, I've done it again, not lichen, liverwort. I get me liverworts and my lichens mixed up. Now this liverwort isn't such a problem in itself. It doesn't particularly look nice, but it restricts the amount of oxygen getting through to the roots, to the air. The plants themselves don't really need potting up. You can see they're not overly rooty. So we're just going to take the shoulder off. This is one of the reasons why we go on and on about removing the shoulder. And then we're just going to top dress them. But that's the reason we do it. Now that there will let a lot more oxygen get in and down to the roots. Look at that. So we just ease the plant out about ½ an inch or so, and then just run your fingers round. Take this shoulder off, nip out any little bits. Now in the summer, this isn't going to, the leaf will absorb more of the moisture, so the liverwort won't build up. It still does when they get overly wet, but if we move that to a bigger pot, it would get wetter still, because there won't be enough leaf to take up all the moisture, and then you get more liverwort. So we'll let them stay in there, develop and grow on until they really fill the pot, and then we'll move them up to a 1 litre pot. That's this size, but they need to be much fuller before we can do that, and this will help them on their way. I actually find it quite a therapeutic job. I have just brought down from up the top a load of young conifers that'll have to be potted. Along with them, quite a lot of ferns. We need to pot these up. It is, what's the date today? It's the 8th of April, and it's a Thursday. No, it's not, it's a Wednesday evening. These days merge into one at the moment, but I think we'll have a little wander, because a lot has changed and things are really starting to get going now. So let's have a little wander. You can see the delphiniums are starting to get up. They're nearly at the top of the wires. The borders are starting to green over. The new shoots of promise, or irritation in the case of some plants like weeds I'd rather not have. The veratrum, I think I've showed you this before, is starting to really come into its own. Things change so quickly. At some stage I'm going to have to cut the grass. It's getting long. But I have no staff, and this is always going to be the problem now. There's a lovely red pulmonaria there. can't remember what that one's called. I think it's called Red Start. This is a Viburnum Burkewoodii. The scent on it is absolutely gorgeous. I've stuck my nose on that. Stuff's getting really on now. Now, there's one of the Cornus controversies, the pagoda tree. You can see it's just starting to break leaf. Up here is the other Cornus that's sometimes called the wedding cake tree, alternifolia. You can see it's denser and finer. Things are moving, so I want to have a wander around the nursery and let you share some of this evening sunshine. Senkaki, the Aves gold spreader. Love that plant. Normally we would have a big display around the shop, but there's nobody coming in. Alright, Doris. I don't know what we're going to call him. Skedaddle, I think. Every time you get near he runs away. Look at him go up that path. Oops. Sounds like he might have a rival. The Primula denticulatas, the drumstick primulas. Now they're really starting to come out now. The plants that we really want are just the crocosmias and things are for later in the year. Is along here in the opening credits of our weekly film, you'll see Elizabeth wandering along with a lump of crocosmia. There's a wonderful display of daffodils around at the moment everywhere. I can't remember, I put these in years ago. I can't even remember what they're called, but they're a pretty little thing. The pasque flowers, they're lovely. Different colours, whites and pinks. The old Kanzan flowering cherry, half of it's gone. But it's still producing flower and it's still enjoying life, so why would we not bother with it? The fritillaries, look, there's some roses, they're starting to go. The fritillaries, the Fox's fritillary, the Assyriaca, Muscari, the white Muscari, Snake's head fritillaries, the pale blue Muscari, the pale blue with a few stray white ones in, the dark blue, and look at this one. This is a Muscari. Oh, what's it called? Mountain Lady. I really like this now, isn't that lovely? Beautiful little thing. There are two cock pheasants now. They're fighting over Doris's favours, I think. Personally, lads, I don't think she's too fussy. Oh well. The flowering currants are out, and there's the white one just going over. Sold most of them, strangely enough. People have seen them on the video and have come in for them. Everything is starting to really move. I'm sniggering because I've got all these beautiful plants and no bugger to sell them to. If you didn't laugh, you'd bloody cry. Erythroniums, you hardly ever see them. This is pagoda. You hardly ever see them in the garden centres. Some of the tulips this year, we're doing these lovely pots of Pinocchio, this one. Look at that. Beautiful. A couple of rarer daffodils. And last week I was very, very disparaging over this thing. I think it's called minnow. And yet, in this sunlight, it's actually looking quite nice. You can get a sense now of how everything is coming to life. All the perennials are starting to fill their pots. There is a carpet of green appearing. And purple, that's the cardinal flower you can see there in pots. That's Lobelia cardinalis, or Lobelia speciosum, Russian princess. Tania is another one. I'm hoping maybe lockdown will be over in a few weeks, and when they come into flower I might start selling a few, but it's going to be very hard now. People keep ringing us up asking if our bedding is in yet and would we deliver it. Well, we can't do any bedding. We have to buy thousands of plants, and hang on, I'm just going to turn this blooming water off. Oh, I've forgotten what I was saying now. Never mind. In the shade all there, we've got the marsh marigolds, the lovely double one. You see this? This is Caltha, Palustris floriplena. Beautiful thing. Look at that. You put that somewhere near some water or a damp area. Lysimachia, punctata, Alexander. Look at that. Beautiful young spring growth. Yellow flowers later in the summer. We go through here. There's some of the rooms. Handsome. Some white drumstick primulas. They're doing okay. There's a couple of little favourites of mine that are not quite in flower. The double anemone, Anemone nemorosa vestal, and there's one little one there called, over at the back, called Robinsoniana. Don't think in this light we can pick up the colour. It's a bluey colour. I was hoping to get shot of some of those trilliums this year. pulmonarias. Look at the lovely blue ensign, a lovely clean blue that one is, and the white one, Sissinghurst white. Bit of a weak grower, Sissinghurst white. And the others, Victorian brooch and the like. But I do like the flower of blue ensign. It doesn't have the speckles. It's not the lovely speckled leaf. But it's nice. Beds and beds of perennials. Geraniums, geums, hemerocallis, lupins, iris, cottage garden plants by the thousand. It's such a lovely, kind time of the day, the evening. And there's me Sargentia. I must show you the autumn colour of that. And we go up. I've been today working on the wall, bringing down ferns, bringing down a lot of stuff that needs propagating, or that was propagated, sorry, but needs moving on. It's got covered in liverwort and that over the winter, and we just need to tidy it up. This isn't quite out yet, but this is a Philadelphus I've spoken of before, Coronarius variegatus, and it's a nice variegation. And just to show you, this is an Amelanchier. This is a variety called Robin Hill. And you can see it has the lovely salmon coloured foliage, and it's just coming into flower. This evening sunshine is bringing the best out of it. That's a lump of lichen on there. Yeah. Beautiful colour. And there he is. Yeah, randy little bugger. Here he is, hiding in the undergrowth. He must have seen off his rival. I don't know, what should we call him? What about Colin? I've lost him now. Oh, there he is. There he is. There. He's a handsome fellow. You have to say he's a handsome fellow. Where are you, Doris, you slut? Perhaps she's gone off with the other one. Well, something you might remember from a few weeks back, plenty of weeks back actually, with these double primulas. Jan and Clara were cutting them back. I hadn't realised that they have quite a strong fragrance in the evening light. You remember we put a little bit of fertiliser on each one, and now they're looking quite quite dramatic. That's a particularly nice blue, but they are fully double, and I just think they're lovely things. However, there's little I can do about it. The primroses, you still got to go some way to beat a primrose, haven't you? And the denticulatas, there's a very nice red one there actually, quite like that. So yeah, it's a little bit depressing. However, we do get to have all of these beautiful plants to ourselves. That ain't a lot of comfort really. I'm stood up here on a ladder and it's just occurred to me, I've just done some irrigation, but it is, or mentioned irrigation, it is a beautiful day. That dog thinks I'm going out with a gun again. That's all it lives for. That and mouse foxes. Crackers. Beautiful day it is. It's hard to worry about all the problems in the world at the moment when you have a day like this. What you are getting there is a panoramic view, I believe, and I'm going to fall arse over head off this ladder in a minute. Anyway, that's it for this week. I would very much like to thank everybody for watching. I'd especially like to thank Matthew and Laura for adding some bits in. It's just nice to have, there's not many of us left, and it's just nice to have share what we know with people, or what we do. Outside of this, I don't know a lot about anything else. See you next time.